Good morning, children. Welcome to 7th Standard English, Term 3, Unit 1, Supplementary. The topic is Sindbad, My First Voyage. So, children, listen carefully to the session, and in case if you have any doubts, make a note of it and it will be rectified on the day of reopening. Okay, children, come let's see the story. Sindbad, My First Voyage. First, let's see the meaning for the word voyage. Voyage means a long journey, especially by ship. Voyage means a long journey, especially by ship. The story of Sindbad and his 7 fantastic voyages appears in the huge collection of stories, the Book of 1001 Nights. The story tells us that Sindbad was a famous sailor who lived Baghdad. He was an honest, generous, and brave man. He had many adventures on each of his voyages. He never lost heart and hope in dangerous situations. Children, here sailor means a person who works on a ship or a person who sails a boat. Sailor means a person who works on a ship or a person who sails a boat. So Sindbad had many adventures on each of his voyage. He never lost heart and hope in dangerous situations. Here adventures means an experience or action that is very dangerous. Adventures means an experience or action that is very dangerous. He overcame great dangers and returned home safely from each of his voyage. So children, in this extract, the rich Sindbad describes his first voyage to the poor Sindbad, the porter. Sindbad is a fictional mariner and the hero of a story cycle of Middle Eastern origin. He was a man from Baghdad who had fantastic adventures in magical realms. Sindbad's father was a rich man in Baghdad. When the father of rich Sindbad died, he left behind a big wealth. Sindbad was an inexperienced, thoughtless youth and spent all his wealth foolishly. So after realizing his fault, Sindbad decided to sail for the Persian Gulf with some goods. So Sindbad set sail with a company of merchants on a big ship. From time to time, they stopped at various ports. There, they sold their merchandise and bought new things to trade. Here, merchandise means goods or things for sale. Trade means to sell. One day, when their ship was sailing smoothly across the sea, their group saw a beautiful small green island at a distance. Here, island means a land surrounded by water from all sides. They had not seen land for many days and felt both surprised and happy to see the island. So they sailed close to the island. The captain of the ship allowed them to go there for a picnic. Everyone was excited. Here excited means very happy. On the island, they strolled around, sang and danced. Strolled means walked here and there. Some people began to wash clothes. Some people lit fires to cook meals. Soon a breeze sprang up. Here sprang up means began to blow suddenly. The fires began to blaze. Blaze means burn strongly. Blaze means burn strongly. Suddenly the land began to shake and move. With a shock, the picnic party realized that the island was not an island at all. They were on the back of a huge sea monster and it had started moving. People began to scream and they left their pots and pans, their clothes, both washed and unwashed, and rushed back to the ship. So the captain ordered his men to set sail immediately in order to move away from the monster. The sea monster plunged deep into the sea. Here, plunged means jump or dive quickly and energetically. So many of the people managed to climb aboard the ship, but many of them sank into the sea with the so-called island. Here, aboard means to catch ship. But Sindbad alone did not drown in the sea, but he could not reach the ship. Sindbad saw the ship sailing far, far away, and he was now at the mercy of the waves, being tossed here and there. Fortunately, Sindbad caught hold of a big piece of wood and somehow managed to keep afloat. Here, afloat means floating. And he spent the night alone at sea. When the next day dawned, Sindbad was happy to see that he had floated near an island, a real big island. He could see hills and woods and trees at a distance. Though Sindbad was extremely tired, he swam to the shore with all the strength that he could muster. Here, all the strength that he could muster means all the strength that he could use at that time. Exhausted and hungry, Sindbad lay on the sand for some time. Then again Sindbad made an effort and began to walk inland towards the shady fruit trees that he could see at a distance. Here, inland means towards an area of land away from the seashore. Luckily, this was the time when the king of that island sent his horses to the seashore with the grooms. Here, grooms means persons who take care of horses. The grooms saw Sindbad and gave him food and drink. Then they took him to the king. The king was impressed by the way Sindbad told him about what had happened. The king asked Sindbad to stay with him and work as an officer of the king at the port. Sindbad stayed there for a few days and learning a lot from the king and the people on the island, and in turn telling them about the other cities and ports that he had visited. At the port, Sindbad often made enquiries about any ships coming from or going to Baghdad, but no such ship ever came to that port. Then, one day, a ship arrived at the island with a lot of merchandise. Sindbad was at the quay when the cargo from that ship was being unloaded. Here, quay means a platform in a port or harbor where boats come to load or unload their luggage. Cargo means goods carried on a ship. Sindbad was surprised to see that his own name was marked on some of the boxes. Then Sindbad went to see the captain of the ship. At first, the captain could not believe that it was the same Sindbad that they had seen drowning in the sea. But when Sindbad spoke to him face to face, he recognized him. The captain was overjoyed to see Sindbad alive. So the captain gave him back all his merchandise. From the goods that he thus got back, Sindbad presented the most valuable items to the king of the island, saying, "Please accept this, your majesty. You have been very kind and very generous to me." The king was pleased, and he too gave Sindbad many valuable gifts. As the ship stayed on the island for a few days, Sindbad did good business and earned a lot of money. Finally, Sindbad returned to his city Baghdad as a rich man. Sindbad completed his story and bade goodbye to the poor porter, and he presented him with a purse full of gold coins. Thus unexpected riches overjoyed the porter. Children, I hope you all have understood this story. If you want to know what happened to Sindbad afterwards, you have to read the rest of the story of his fantastic voyages. Okay children, now let's see the fill in the blanks. First one, Sindbad decided to sail to the dash with some goods. Sindbad decided to sail to the Persian Gulf with some goods. Second one, Sindbad was being tossed by powerful waves and was thrown on an dash. Sindbad was being tossed by powerful waves and was thrown on an island. The answer is island. Next, the men in the cave were all dash of the king. The men in the cave were all slaves of the king. Next, the king was a dash person. The king was a dash person. The answer is noble and kind person. The king was a noble and kind person. Fifth one, the king gave many valuable dash to Sindbad. The king gave many valuable gifts to Sindbad. Sindbad decided to sail to the Persian Gulf with some goods. Sindbad was being tossed by powerful waves and was thrown on an island. The men in the cave were all slaves of the king. The king was a noble and a kind person. The king gave many valuable gifts to Sindbad. Next, my father was a rich dash. My father was a rich merchant. Next, they served me good dash and drink. They served me good food and drink. Finally, I returned to my city dash as a rich man. Finally, I returned to my city Baghdad as a rich man. So, my father was a rich merchant. They served me good food and drink. Finally, I returned to my city Baghdad as a rich man. Next, true or false? First one, Sindbad was a man from Baghdad. The answer is true. Sindbad was a man from Baghdad. The answer is true. Sailor Sindbad's father was a poor man. Sailor Sindbad's father was a poor man. The answer is false. Next, everyone jumped into the boat to save their lives. Everyone jumped into the boat to save their lives. The answer is false. Next, Sindbad held on to the wood when tossed by the waves. Sindbad held on to the wood when tossed by the waves. The answer is true. The last one, the king was a merciless man. The king was a merciless man. The answer is false. So, Sindbad was a man from Baghdad. The answer is true. Sailor Sindbad's father was a poor man. False. Everyone jumped into the boat to save their lives. False. Sindbad held on to the wood when tossed by the waves. True. The king was a merciless man. False. Okay children, now it's time for question. First question, when did Sindbad's father die? Second question, what did Sindbad decide to do after he lost his wealth? Third question, what did the group see when they were on board? Fourth question, was it really an island? Fifth one, who was Miharjan? What types of a person was he? Sixth question, what did Sindbad ask the visiting sailors? And the last question is, what did the sea water around the island contain?